Kasra Dash. Is Topical Authority BS?
Absolutely not. The only time it's BS is if you do it wrong. And to be fair, there are a lot of ways that you can mess up with topical authority, and we're gonna discuss that in this video today.
So, what are the starting points for Topical Authority? Would you start off with a topical map, analyzing your competitors? Where would you start?
Yeah, so obviously, first of all, you need to pick out the correct competitors. Now, say for example, if you are selling shoes, the last person you'd probably want to pick out as a competitor is Amazon, because your topical map's just going to be all over the place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You want the most relevant websites to look at, and that might mean that you might need to export, let's say, 60 competitors and seeing which articles they have and which articles you don't have.
So, have you got any examples just to prove that it is working really well? I can pull up an example in a second as well. Are there any sites that you can see that are using Topical Authority to rank really well?
Yeah, there's a lot of e-commerce stores that have essentially built up their products range, and now they're building up their topical authority on their blog section as well that I can show you. Do you want to pull up your example first, and I'll
Yeah, sure. So this is an example, I think, of how to do it without many backlinks, right? So a lot of people worried about how do I compete without many backlinks? How do I compete with DI80 websites in my niche, etc. So one of the sites that I've seen just absolutely popping off, and I've mentioned it a few times on my YouTube channel, is cakesbymk.com. And you can see that they're only a domain rating 16. So not a super high authority site, but they're performing really well. They're getting 350,000 traffic, as you can see right here, ranking for 50,000 keywords. And if we pull up some of the keywords they're actually ranking for, as you can see, they're ranking for like basically everything related to cake. So they're a cake recipe website. And then you can see pretty much every single keyword in there is like cake recipe. And these aren't like super easy keywords to rank for either. So, for example, like lemon cake, KD43 right there, and they're ranking number one for it, cake pop recipe, etc. And so it looks to me like they've just built out more and more pages ranking for really tough keywords, but they've done it because they're just so laser targeted on one particular topic and building topical authority that way.
Yeah, that's quite a good example. My example isn't as a low DR as that, but again, it does show a pretty good picture of how topical authority works. So if we just load up my screen, let me know when you can see.
So it's popping up right now.
Yeah, so we are looking at runner.com. They are an e-commerce shoe selling brand. And they also have got like a really good blog section on their website. They do a few things. I've spoke about these guys before in the past, but take a look at their traffic. As you can see, ranking for over 60,000 keywords. Then if we actually take a look at the organic keywords here as well, they rank for a variety of different keywords. Now, the misconception about topical authority is the fact that you need to be writing only about shoes. So if you're selling shoes, you need to be talking about best women's running shoes, best men's running shoes, best kids running shoes, best shoes for running when you're going on a hike, best running shoes for treadmills, etc. It's not the case. So what they've done is they've actually covered the topic in its entirety. So like when to replace running shoes, how long do running shoes last, what to wear running in the rain, how often to replace running shoes, so on and so forth. And they also rank for buy running shoes for men in the UK as well. So if you guys did want to check that out. But what I did want to show you guys is like a diagram of how they've structured their website, right? So
Nice.
for example, what a lot of people would do is they would only go after best running shoes, and they would go after the what I would like to call the bottom of the funnel keywords. But in reality, you actually need to go after like middle of the funnel keywords and also top of the funnel keywords. Now, the green won't earn your website that much money, which is probably why a lot of SEOs would never target some of these keywords. So for example, running spots in Barcelona, probably not going to turn you into an overnight millionaire, right? This is why these keywords are probably not as lucrative to go after. So same goes with what to eat before a marathon. Like as a shoe selling brand, what are you going to do? Sell them bananas? You can't sell them bananas, right? So just bear that in mind when you are structuring your topical map, you do need to target all three sections of the funnel: top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and also bottom of the funnel. Bottom of the funnel, weirdly, it's at the top on this diagram, but those keywords will earn you the most money. So just bear that in mind when you are structuring your topical map. This is how it should look like. But again, a lot more pages, a lot more bottom of the funnel keywords and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, that's really useful, I think, for people to see how to structure it and that sort of thing. One of the things I'm going to share my screen now and show you as well, if we run through this, is a couple of SOPs that we've put together and we Kasra in the past. These are
Yeah.
both available in my free SEO course. Method number one, like we talked about last week, was basically plug in your competition site into Google Keyword Planner completely free, export the list of keywords, take the top 200, and then plug them into ChatGPT and use a prompt like this to generate a topical map based on what's working for your competitors. So, for example, if you were a competitor of cakes by mk.com, then you can get their sitemap, plug that into a tool like, for example, so you would plug their website into Google Keyword Planner, take the top 200 keywords, and then create a topical map around that. And that tends to work really well. And the other method that we've talked about previously, I know you're not the biggest fan of this method. It can work, but again, I think you need to use a hybrid of multiple ways, right? If you want to create a good topical map, you want to make it really comprehensive and cover every base. So I think a combination of looking at your competitors, but then additionally doing something like this where you generate 30 semantically relevant topics and then 30 variations of each topic underneath that. 30 by 30, that's a 900-page topical map. With your niche and your language plugged in, you can generate a topical map really easily with ChatGPT, right?
Yeah. I think the obviously one last method, which probably can't be I mean, it could be SOP'd, but it's a very time consuming task. Is I've done this before where I'll be looking at a competitor and they will have an entire silo on their website that I would look at and be like, oh, I actually quite like this entire silo. And then you just lift the entire silo. But yeah, that's a very manual task and it can take a few days to finish a topical map like that as well.
How do you feel about ranking with topical authority versus ranking with backlinks? Because I know, for example, like Corey Tugberg, he's talked in the past about how he's ranked websites without building backlinks, but only using topical authority.
Yeah, so let me use an extreme, right? If you had a page, or sorry, a website, let's say juliangoldie.com, and it was just one page and no content at all, you could have the best links in the world, and that website still wouldn't, it might rank for your name, but it's not going to start ranking for best SEO or whatever else. So I feel like you do need a hybrid approach because the thing is, like with the Core method, it's very advanced and it's also very time consuming. So there's a number of people that can do the Core method like 100% of the way there. But if let's say you were to do the Corey's course and let's say you got even 70% of it, you can essentially get the other 30% by building really good links, if that makes sense. So I like to go down the hybrid approach. Why not just do both as well as you can and you can essentially rank?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the right way. So you got to do everything right. Like
Yeah.
if you go for if you go for purely just link building, but you don't create the right content targeting the right topics, you're not going to rank. It's like going to the gym, but then not eating the right food afterwards, or eating the right food, but then not going to the gym and going, "Where are my biceps, mate? I was
Yeah.
promised 17-inch biceps here." So I think, yeah, you got to do both for sure. Are there any other ways that you recommend building your topical authority? So we've talked about topical maps, analyzing your competitors. We've talked about backlinks as well and using them to supplement your topical authority. I guess the other way is creating content, but creating content in the right way at the right scale, targeting the right topics, right?
Yeah. Last way that I would probably recommend it is obviously if you don't have the time, just outsourcing it. We've spoke about Topical Titan before, but they will essentially give you like a comprehensive guide on which articles you need, which articles you don't need. Again, that's one thing that we actually haven't spoken about. There's a lot of articles that your competitors will have that won't be needle pushing articles as well. So just bear that in mind. Sometimes you will look at your competitors and you might think, oh my God, they've got 500 more articles than me. That doesn't mean you need all 500. They might only have, let's say, 100 articles that are actual needle pushers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I'll leave a link to Topical Titans in the description if anyone wants to check that out. And yeah, I think that's the other thing is what you say no to, right? Like
Yeah,
we've seen that during the Parasite SEO updates recently with the cyber reputation abuse. It's if you try and go for everything, and even if that works, which it can work long term, at some point you're going to get clapped for it. And I think that's what we're seeing, for these big publications that have targeted everything. Like it gets out of control, it can work, but eventually you can receive a penalty for that sort of thing, right? If you're just trying to
yeah.
target everything and not staying within one specific topic.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, especially when you are doing a topical map. I still feel like you can rank for multiple niches on the one domain, but you just need to have a comprehensive topical map for each niche that you enter. So, for example, let's say you might need 1,000 articles to get to get break past the 40 wall or get topical authority on that certain niche, but you only have half of that, and you've got that times, let's say, 40 different industries or 40 different niches. That's when you're probably going to have a problem with your site. But if you're doing everything right, like there's a lot of websites that rank for multiple different styles or multiple different niches that they've not been hit as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's true as well. All right, thanks very much for being on. If you haven't already subscribed to Kasra's channel, we definitely recommend checking it out. I know you're covering a lot of stuff outside of SEO as well, which is pretty interesting. Not just like the
Yeah.
usual tiny SEO bubble stuff, right?
Yeah. A little bit more on the business side as well. Because I feel like that's probably important as well.
Yeah.
Because to run an SEO campaign and obviously do it properly, you need to have a little bit more business savviness as well to you.
Yeah, 100%. We should, if people want to see this, we should do a YouTube SEO tutorial together based on what's working for you and me. And I think that'll be pretty cool for people to see.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right. And if you haven't already, check out Topical Titans. Link is inside the description. If you want to book in a free SEO strategy session about how to get more leads, traffic, and sales to your website, link is inside the comments and description. We'll answer any questions you have directly on the call, and we'll give you a custom tailored game plan for link building. Cheers.
Thanks for having me.